And good morning. Hello everyone. Casey Durango here of Go Keto with Casey, where I talk about how I've lost 97.4 pounds, still trying to get to 100, just for vanity's sake, pounds since having started the ketogenic diet. And I like to talk to other people about how they might be able to lose weight, improve their health, and regain control of their lives. Thank you so much for joining. I will trust you guys to let me know if you can't hear or see or something goes wonky, because technology is our frenemy. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Okay, great. I can see some folks here. So hello from Thunder Bay, Ontario. So I will get right to it. Today's topic, my opinion, keep in mind these can only be my opinion, of some of the misconceptions that many people have about the ketogenic diet. A quick primer for those who don't know or need a reminder. A ketogenic diet is one where you reduce your carbohydrate intake to a level where your liver stops pumping out glucose for fuel and your body happily switches over to burning fat or ketones for fuel. And that's where ketogenic comes from, burning ketones for fuel. Our bodies are very well designed to do this, and our brains may be particularly well designed to burn ketones for fuel, in addition to the bit of glucose that it needs. It's not all or nothing, but happily burns ketones for the majority of its fuel, the brain, that is. Okay, so that's what the ketogenic diet is. And so how do you do that? For most people, what will work, a total carbohydrate intake of 20 grams or fewer a day, total, not net. Eat fatty sources of protein. Don't eat if you're not hungry. And stop when you're satiated. That's the program in a nutshell. You should pardon the expression because, reminder, nuts are not on the protocol. So, where does all the confusion come from? Some of it comes from just because there's a lot of conflicting information out there, some well-meaning. Some of the confusion, I do believe, is by design. There are people that would like you to be confused so that they can sell you something to make it seem easier. A product, a supplement, a book, a powder, a 1 month plan that you pay for. Some of it is by design to make it seem confusing. But it really, honest and true, is as simple as keep your carbs 20 grams or fewer a day. Eat fatty sources of protein and don't eat if you're not hungry. You will note that nowhere in that protocol, in that list, are grams of fat or protein mentioned, nor are there any ratios mentioned. You'll have to excuse me, my eye keeps getting diverted because I've just hung a new bird feeder, and the birds are loving it. It's right there. It's a squirrel buster bird feeder, and I'm happy to say it works. Okay, anyway, squirrel. There are some silly misconceptions. There's some silly advice being given. I'm sorry to say it. Silly. If you are told, or it is recommended to you, that make sure you get in plenty of fat, because that'll make you burn fat. So you need to up your fat. Take that advice with a grain of salt, which is part of the protocol. Make sure you keep your sodium levels about 5 grams a day if you do not have hypertension. The way this works, the reason your body switches over to burning ketones or fat, body stores the fat for fuel, is not because of the presence of the fat in your diet. It's because of the absence of the carbs. That's what makes the switch. Okay? This is known as a low-carb, high-fat diet only because it's not a low-fat diet. Keep in mind there are 3 macronutrients, only 2 of which are essential, protein and fat. Carbohydrate is not an essential nutrient. But anyway, there are only 3, carbohydrate, fat, protein. Protein tends to remain kind of stable. We tend to self-regulate because as humans we tend to not feel very well if we eat too much protein. I don't know what your protein level is. I don't know what my protein level is. It's a pretty wide range, even by research and scientific standards. There's no one consensus. It's like 1 gram to 1.5 grams of protein per kilo of lean body mass. Now, I don't know if you know what your lean body mass is. I don't. But 1 to 1.5 is a 50% variation. So you kind of just go by the way you feel. So anyway, assuming protein stays static, because this is not a high protein diet either. It's not high fat. It's not high protein. It's just the right amount of protein for you. That remains static. So the other 2 macronutrients, think of them as a teeter-totter. And if you've reduced your carbohydrate intake, just because that's the way it works out, the rest of your calories are coming from fat. Doesn't mean it's added fat. The fat that comes with your protein. What does that mean? Poultry with the skin. Dark meat poultry. Steak with the fat. Ground beef, not super lean ground beef. Eggs with the yolks. Pork with the fat. Bacon. Nice. Essentially all the food we were told not to eat. Full fat dairy, if you can tolerate dairy. And then a little bit of added stuff. A couple of tablespoons of mayo a day. Some butter on your vegetables or on your meat. But not a lot of added fat. For me, what did not work, things like so-called bulletproof coffee or coffee loaded with MCT oil and or coconut oil and or butter and or cream, that wouldn't work for me. It's just a ton of fat and a ton of calories. And I want my body to burn my body fat. So, first myth, or bit of confusion, that you have to get in fat and add fat. If you're stalled out, eat more fat. Well, how does that make sense? If you're not losing weight, why would you eat more of anything? That doesn't make any sense to me. I'm sorry. That's like, I've used the analogy, oh, I'm so tired. I'm extremely tired. I yawn all day. I can barely have any energy. I'm yawning, yawning, yawning. I think I should get less sleep. If you're not losing weight, don't eat more of anything. Certainly not fat. Eat the fat that comes with your protein. Don't eat if you're not hungry and stop when you're satiated. Note, I didn't say stop when you're full. That's kind of a modern human thing. I think you eat till you're satiated. There'll be more food later on. You don't have to stuff yourself. There's more where that came from. Okay, another bit of confusion. I already touched on it. That you have to figure out the percentages of your macronutrients. The so-called M word, which I don't like to use. It's not part of the protocol, is it? Keep your carbs 20 grams or fewer a day, eat fatty sources of protein, and don't eat if you're not hungry. Nowhere mentioned are percentages or ratios. Those just work out. Don't worry about it. So there's some confusion about that. Again, you do what works for you. If you like to use a tracker and you like to start your day with a giant bulletproof coffee, and then you like to plug that into your tracker and figure out where your pie chart, where your ratios are, and that works for you, have at it. If it has been working and certainly doesn't work, maybe you want to step back. Because keep in mind at the beginning, particularly if we have a lot of weight to lose, there's your weight, if you're keeping your carbs low, then your weight and hunger will both be reduced. Your hunger's reduced, so your weight is reduced. And it's the way it works. But if it stops working, step back and take inventory. Okay. Third bit of confusion. If I'm on the ketogenic diet, I should lose weight really fast like all those people I see online. Why am I not losing weight really fast like I see those people online? First of all, some of those stories are fake. Sorry to say. They're made up. Some of them are meant to entice you to click on something. Some of them are absolutely real, and we applaud those. But some people are different. We're all just different. Some people can quit smoking cold turkey with no ill effects. And some people need nicotine patches and therapy. As long as you end up not smoking, it's all good however you got there. Don't compare yourself. Please keep in mind that a ketogenic diet is not a weight loss diet. What? I thought it was a weight loss diet. No, it's a fat burning diet. It's just a diet by which your body burns fat for fuel rather than burning sugar. So you can be burning fat for fuel, and you can, or you don't have to measure by anything, not by urine, by blood, by breath, or anything. You don't have to measure, but you can. So if you're pretty sure you are burning fat for fuel, so-called being in ketosis, that doesn't mean you'll lose weight. If you are drinking or eating all the fat your body requires for its energy needs, fat bombs and all this added fat, then why would your body burn the fat that it needs here? It's you're throwing it down your gullet, everything you need, all the fat it needs for fuel. If you are simply eating, say you're not doing that, but you are just eating a lot of food. Remember, this is not an unlimited diet. You generally don't have to count too much because it's a little bit hard to overeat, boiled eggs and pork chops because they're just very satisfying and filling. It's not so hard it's easier to overeat cheese and condiments like mayo and heavy cream. Heavy cream is limited to 2 tablespoons a day, not 2 tablespoons per cup of coffee. It's limited to 2 tablespoons per day. So it's very easy to have just added fuel coming in. I try not to use the calories word because it's very charged. It's heavily charged. But just think of the food as fuel. And if you're taking in more fuel than your body requires, or just exactly the amount that it requires, think of it that way. Oh, I'm in homeostasis. I'm consuming the amount of fuel exactly that my body needs, and so I have not lost any weight in 3 months. But now you know how much you can eat to maintain your weight. You just need to make some adjustments. So that's a little bit of confusion, is that, why am I not losing weight? And it appears that everyone around me is. First of all, people who are losing very slowly generally don't brag about it. Let's not use the word slowly. I did my own thing that I say not to do. Losing gradually. I was a gradual loser. I had a lot to lose. Go to my blog, see my before photos, perfectly round woman. Been that way for a long time, 30 years. I had a lot to lose. I'm 5'1". So 97 pounds on 5'1" is a lot. That's a lot of pounds per vertical inch. Even with that, the first year I lost 47 pounds. Didn't lose 10 pounds a month. Didn't lose 5 pounds a month. I lost, on average, less than a pound a week. I was thrilled. I felt better. My life had already changed, completely changed by that point. So keep in mind, people are not posting before and during photos if they are a gradual loser. It's most of the people. Okay? We're happy for the ones who truly are having great results. You look at them for inspiration, but don't look at them for comparison. Don't do that to yourself. Okay, so first bit of confusion, how am I ever going to get in all that fat? You don't get in all that fat. Just eat the fat that comes with your food, naturally. Second bit of confusion, what about all those ratios and percentages? Not part of the protocol. You don't have to. You want to do it, do it. But you don't have to. I never did. To this day, I don't know how much protein I consumed or consume. A year ago, it just came up on my personal page, a year ago, I had the honor of spending some hang time with Dr. Stephen Finney, one of the great world experts on this diet. Got to have meals with him, got to have a drink with him, got to hang with him before we boarded a ship, just talking. This guy knows his stuff. And he's been asked, how much protein do you eat in a day? He said, I don't know. How much protein should I eat in a day? He says, I don't know. How many calories should I have? I don't know. He says, I would not presume to tell anybody what they should do, not to do what I'm doing, unless they're my clone or my twin, because we're all different. By the way, don't let an app tell you how many calories you should be taking in by food. Okay? If I ate what my fitness pal told me to eat in calories, I would put on weight. Remember that your body is consuming the energy it needs by definition. So if your body requires, for giggle's sake, 1,472 calories just to maintain itself, keep the lights on and everything, and you take in by food 1,100 calories. Oh my goodness, for one thing, if you run a little bit of a calorie deficit, that's good. Where's the other 372 calories coming from? You guessed it. Your tuchus, your chins, your belly, your fat. That's the whole point. It's the whole point. Let your body burn its energy stores. If you've lost as much body fat as you want to lose, and that does happen, then you add in dietary fat. But if you're listening to me, you're probably not there. Let's face it. I know I'm not. Okay. Oh, by the way, just flat out, someone who says you must get in at least 200 grams of fat a day, that's just made up. And silly. Think about it. There are 9 grams of energy for every 9 grams of 9 calories for every gram of fat. So if you eat 200 grams of fat, that's 1,800 calories. Just in fat. That's just silly. That's silly. And also, there's no minimum requirement for leafy greens or veggies at all. If someone tells you there's a minimum requirement and you go, oh, how would I ever eat that many veggies? Maybe that person says, oh, I know that's tough, so here's some pills that I can sell you to replace those veggies. Be careful of people selling you anything. Guess what you need to buy to be successful on the ketogenic diet? I'll tell you. And here's where I wish I had a sound effects thing. I would insert the sound of crickets. You need to buy nothing. Nothing. No supplements. No measuring devices. I own them and I use them. But you don't have to use them. By the way, the urine strips work just fine. It got out there that they are useless, and all they're doing is burning the ketones you don't use. That's silly too. One thing, they don't measure ketones. They measure acetoacetate, which is a byproduct of ketones being mobilized for fuel. But you don't have to do that either. You don't have to buy a book. You can if you want to. If I wrote a book on how to do the ketogenic diet, it would be one paragraph, and then a whole bunch of blank pages, because it's eat 20 grams of carbohydrate a day, total, not net, or fewer. Eat fatty sources of protein, and don't eat if you're not hungry. you don't have to buy anything. If someone's trying to sell you something, particularly in liquid form, particularly if it's a multi-level marketing company, shame on them. And if they're trying to sell you fake baked goods, shame on them. Okay, I'm going to turn my attention to some comments. And thank you for your patience. And happy Memorial Day. I hope you guys have a great time. And Memorial Day is a great holiday to remain ketogenic. Eat the bratwursts, eat the cheeseburgers, eat the chicken as long as it's not breaded. Just leave off the potato salad and the buns. Eat coleslaw that's not sweetened with sugar. Eat salad, just not too much. You don't even have to buy a measuring cup. 20 grams of carbohydrate a day, what does that look like? Pretty much, as Dr. Eric Westman has said many times, about the size of one fist, which is about a cup of non-starchy vegetables, and about 2 cups of leafy greens, maximum, not minimum. That'll get you to about 10 or 12 grams of carb a day. The rest will be made up, even eggs have like 0.6 of a gram of carb. It's just, but the rest are just coming in your food. Good morning from Bennett, North Carolina. I'm in North Carolina. Monica writes, for anyone who disputes what Casey says, can listen to a podcast which interviewed, lost it. Sorry about that. It clicks away on my, does anyone have any successes they want to share, any challenges, any suggestions, any questions for me? You can ask me anything. Some questions I won't answer because they're personal. But you can ask me, and if I won't answer, I'll say, I'm not going to answer that. Okay, Tanya writes, I don't eat meat, getting sick with salad. If you don't eat meat, do you eat poultry? When you say meat, do you mean poultry? Do you mean seafood? Do you mean any kind of animal? That's a challenge. It can be done. Vegetarians, there's a man who's had great success, and he's great. His name is Jaydeep Bhutta. Jaydeep. Last name Bhutta. Bhuta. Google him. I don't know whether he has a website, but he is a vegetarian, and he has been very successful. Robin says, I learned so much from you. Oh, thank you. I was stuck on the M word. Hey, Tricia. Okay, I'm not able to see, okay, what do you mean by carbs, not net carbs? Total carbs. Colondia asks that. Total carbs is the carb content of the food. Net carbs is what some people, and frankly it got started by food manufacturers for obvious reasons. They decided you could subtract out the fiber grams, the grams of fiber in the product, saying, oh, they don't get absorbed, so they pass right on through, so you can eat plenty of those. So we're talking about net carbs. Do that if you want, and some people can do that and be successful. So essentially what that means is you're eating more carbs. There's not really good science behind that whole fiber. For anything that has fiber, the fiber is not absorbed because it varies by food and by person and by process. So, like I say, don't blame keto for what the net carbs did. If it works for you, great. All it means is you can tolerate more carbs than other people, but 20 grams will pretty much work across the board for everybody. 50 pounds in a year is what I lost. That is fantastic. Daggum, I wish I could. Oh, Liz Ann writes that. That's great. Hey, Kimmy. She in Germany. Hi, Kimmy. I hope you're doing well, sweetie. She says, hi, keto friends. Kimmy's been very successful. We are so proud of Kimmy. I am going to take just a second to give a little thanks and plug to patreon.com. Patrons, some of whom are here, make it possible for me to do this. I'm going to be very blunt with you. For instance, I didn't do a live stream last week. My commitment in my personal life now, I'm now out of my former career. Yes. Is, of course, to my husband and myself, to our relationship, to our home. That's my first responsibility. Beyond that, my responsibility, my focus is on patrons. They pay for the privilege. They pledge. And that's where I put my time. And it's taking up a lot of time, and I'm happy for it. So I just cannot continue to do the free content as much as I was. I will always continue to do free content because I feel like giving back. Patreon and I'm going to give you 30 seconds. Patreon is a place where you pledge a monthly amount from $2 up, and for that $2 you get access to a private forum, weekday morning videos from me, and then it goes up from there. Everything from patron-only live streams, patron-only group chats, group video chats, which I'm going to have here in about half an hour with the group, up to monthly hour-long one-on-ones with me. That's it. Commercial over. But thank you to patrons. They make it possible for me to not have to sell things. Like some people have to sell products to keep doing what they're doing. I don't want to do that. Other than like my little journals, my T-shirts, and what I have left, grocery bags that say this grocery bag is a carb-free zone. But no food supplements or anything like that. Okay, back to you all. Okay. Robin Snook Orkness writes, I reversed MS symptoms in 9 months and 99.5 pounds down, all keto. These are the stories they're just amazing. Reversing MS symptoms. Now, there would need to be studies on that, and I know that, Robin, you might know her name. I can't recall it right now. I can't recall the woman who says she did reverse her. She was in a wheelchair, and she reversed. I apologize. I cannot call her name right now. But it's amazing. People who come off of all sorts of medications don't have to use their asthma inhalers. They get their brains back. Me, personally, joint pain, gone. If I have a little bit of a hitch in my get along now, I'm like irritated. Like, where did that come from? I haven't had and that's more like, pulled muscle or something, rather than joint pain. Clearing brain fog. Terry Walls, thank you. Thank you. Terry Walls, WAHLS. Research her. Fantastic. Judy Morrison Dunham writes, I lost 50 pounds in 6 months, have maintained for a year. It's fantastic. And I'm pretty much weight stable and have been for a year. I'm so close to a new low. And I may never get one. It doesn't matter. I don't care. I'm old. I'm 60. I never thought that at 60 I would feel, look, and be better than I was at 35. Thank you, Dr. Terry Walls. No more joint pain. No more insomnia. No more restless legs. Okay, here's another bit of confusion. Okay, so electrolytes, for those of you who don't know, are minerals. And they're called electrolytes because they're electrically charged. They're charged. Positives and negatives. Not with everyone, but with many people, and indeed with me. Because when we eat this way, our system's not going through and doing great, and our kidneys release a lot of water, and we keep things coming. With the water can go sodium. Sodium is the queen of electrolytes. When Her Highness goes, she takes along with her magnesium, potassium, calcium, all the other because they're electrically charged. If you become magnesium deficient, you can have symptoms like leg cramps at night, feeling lethargic, sometimes even little pins and needles, paresthesia in your feet and fingertips, maybe headache, so-called keto flu as far as those symptoms. I never really got the keto flu, but I did get leg cramps after a while. Very often, you don't have to buy electrolytes per se. Try this first. Again, per Dr. Stephen Finney. If you do not have hypertension, try to get in about 5 grams of sodium a day, including the food you eat. I know Helena, a patron, is here, and she always reminds me that including the food you eat should be included in the 5 grams. But A lot of us, we've been told to get like 2 grams of sodium a day. Otherwise, we're all going to have a stroke. Research is now saying that it's kind of the opposite is true if you don't have sodium-sensitive hypertension. So if you up your sodium, and it's almost immediate, and you can do this cheaply. Get a nice big Knorr bouillon cube. Have a thing of bouillon. Dr. Finney travels with a baggie of bouillon cubes. They're cheap, as the Brits would say, cheap and cheerful. Easy way to get in extra sodium. And that regulates everything. If that doesn't work, and it'll generally work within like a day or so, look at a slow-release magnesium, not just any old magnesium, because any old magnesium, I think it's magnesium citrate, can cause tummy issues. Slow-release magnesium, which I believe is magnesium chloride, and take those. Again, you can research that. We use Max 64 that we get at Amazon, 5 things at a time. 3 tablets a day, the experiment. That usually does it. Potassium deficiency is less common. So try the sodium first, magnesium second. Epsom salt bath is fantastic. Soak in it at night with some essential oils and a glass of wine and a candle lit and listen to a nice podcast or nature sounds. And our skin is our largest organ. And so the Epsom salt is a great way to get in your minerals and magnesium. And it's cheap. So there you go. Okay, any other comments, questions? I drink a shot of pickle juice when I feel tingly or have a headache. I heard on People's Pharmacy, this pickle juice thing is a thing. I don't know whether maybe it's high in sodium, maybe it's the acid in it, but I want to research that because I heard it recently on People's Pharmacy, and it was not like an antidote. It was 2 Harvard scientists who, for their own purposes, they'd been out rowing, and one of them got terrible cramps. Anyway, I need to research that. Chelate magnesium. Okay. Sweet Wanda writes, went from feeling like 100 to feeling like 40. I'm 66 now. There's so much keto has done for me. For those of you who don't know, and Wanda is very transparent, Wanda, how much have you lost now? 120 plus. She has AFib. She's converted her doctor. Wanda doesn't love to travel, and she made the trip up here from Alabama to Greensboro, North Carolina for a Go Keto with Casey roadshow. By the way, there's going to be a Go Keto with Casey roadshow in Portland, Oregon in September. Details to follow. September 28th and 29th. That's a Friday and a Saturday. Glass of wine, carbs. Okay, here's another bit of confusion. Yes. There probably technically no actual carbs in wine. There may be some. Here's the thing about alcohol. Special rules for alcohol. And I drink wine. I drink spirits. I prefer spirits, actually. So I like a good gin and diet tonic with some lime. As the brilliant, witty Dorothy Parker from the 1930s is quoted as saying, I like a good martini. 2 at the very most. 3, I'm under the table, and 4, I'm under the hose. Anyway. Okay, one has lost 118 pounds. The process of fermentation that takes grapes from being grapes, which are not allowed because they're sugar, fruit is sugar, to being wine and allowed. It's the same thing that takes, barley, rye, from being a grain, which is not allowed, to being bourbon or whiskey, which is allowed. The fermentation process eats the sugar to make that happen. It just does. Same thing in yogurt, full-fat yogurt. The fermentation, even though whole milk is not on the list because of the lactose, sugar. The process of going from being milk to being yogurt eats the sugar. Brilliant. And it's yummy. Okay, Nancy Nerney, been doing keto for 4 months, lost 10 pounds the first month. Congratulations, nothing since. Here's what I would ask you. When I talk with people one-on-one, and they say something similar. I ask the question, for one thing, do you know if you're in ketosis? Do you measure? It can be by urine, which are very inexpensive. You can get a blood thing. I like the Keto Mojo. If you go to my blog, In the sidebar, there's a link to the Keto Mojo. You get a 15% discount, and I do get a little referral fee. But you don't have to buy them. It's not a product you need to buy. But it's the gold standard is blood. But you can use the urine strips, which are accurate for most people. If you're in ketosis and you're not, have you lost any inches? Because you can lose inches and not pounds. That's a thing. Are you on any medications? And then I would ask, are you overeating dietary fat? Bulletproof coffee, fat bombs, too much mayo, lots of sour cream, overdoing the heavy cream, lots of cheese. Cheese is limited to like 2 ounces a day. If you say, no, I'm not, then I say, are you only eating when you're hungry? Are you simply eating more food than you need? Remember, a rumbly-tumbly is not hunger. That's a circadian rhythm reminding you that you usually eat about this time. Push the peckishness. Hunger is a different sensation when you're burning fat for fuel than when you're burning sugar. It simply is. I believe most of the people here would tell you the same. It's a different sensation. And it's not hunger. When you're burning glucose or sugar for fuel, your brain, because glucose cannot be stored in the blood and it burns quickly, your brain goes through it fast and it says, get me some more. My old analogy, if you have a fire going, a campfire, that's great. You can burn pine cones and dried leaves, but you better stand right there with a whole bunch of pine cones and dried leaves because that fire is going to go through it quickly. It's a quick burning fuel. Your brain's the same way. Whereas if you throw a nice aged hickory log on that fire, you can walk away for a while and do something else with your life. That's like burning fat for fuel, the hickory log. So when you're burning glucose for fuel, your brain tells you to get more glucose. I need more glucose, y'all. Can't be stored in the blood. How's it going to get it? You got to go eat some. Okay, let me look. Thank you. Someone right about my arms. Okay, exercise is not required in this. One of my catchphrases is, I don't exercise, I just dress like I do. Oh, and look at my shirt. You can't see it very well. It says, Go Keto with Casey. Thank you to my friends at campusmarketing.com. Not a sponsor, but a friend of the show. And they can get you any of your specialty item needs. Everything I have, any swag I've sold on my blog has come from campusmarketing.com. They do a fabulous job. My favorite, I think, so far are the little lined blank journals with a pen that comes with it. Say, Go Keto with Casey. Anyway, I do exercise more than I did, mostly because I feel like it, and I want to do it for bone density, for feeling good, for tightening my core, because it's good for you. But it's not effective for weight loss. I do exercise more than others. Thank you about my arms. I'm feeling more self-conscious about my arms because I feel like I'm losing a little bit of muscle tone, but I have not been working out strictly. And I think I'm going to move from working on the machines at the gym to like barbell exercises. But I get questions about my arms. I may be, like some people can lose 10 pounds a month, just like that. I was not one of those people. I might be one of those people who's just genetically predisposed to laying on muscle mass. That just might be that way. Might be genetics. I'm not doing anything special. But thank you. I also might be camera angle. Okay. Hey, Jude. Anyone else have a question for me? Ask me anything, so-called AMA. I'm going to see if anything pops up, and then maybe I'll begin to wind down here. We need to get ready for our group video chat. Oh, I think someone asked about Patreon. You can find Patreon, my Patreon page at www.patreon, which is spelled patreon.com/Go Keto with Casey. And $2 a month get you weekday morning snippets, morning videos, not live. Those are recorded and I upload them. I often look like heck because I just woken up. I've got pillow hair. I have no makeup on. And sometimes you can hear my lovely mate making breakfast in the background. But also the patron-only forum, which is fantastic. Rachel wants to know about the M word. Oh, Rachel, don't make me. I did talk about it earlier in this, so you might want to go back and look. You don't have do what you want to do. The M word stands for macros, which is short for macronutrient, of which there are 3, only 2 of which are essential. But people get really hung up on their percentages. What percentage of protein, what percentage of fat, what percentage of carbohydrate. And keep in mind, carbohydrate's never a percentage. It's a hard number, 20 grams or fewer. The rest takes care of itself. Okay, and I did talk about magnesium earlier, so you may have just come on. If you are symptom-free, if you don't have leg cramps, don't worry about it. Actually, I've stopped taking magnesium because I no longer have leg cramps. So you don't have to just out of the gate take magnesium. If you're asymptomatic, meaning you don't have symptoms, carry on. Christine Summers asks, Casey, you must be British, whilst you were losing weight, who was your loose skin? I assume you mean how was your loose skin? Did it naturally tighten up? I have been fortunate, I would say, in my skin as well. Again, it might be genetics. Please don't tell me it's because of autophagy from fasting, because I don't fast. I don't do it. I don't believe in it. Not for dietary reasons. People do it for religious, spiritual, discipline reasons, whatever. I eat when I'm hungry. You should have seen what I ate 2 days ago. And then I had a big breakfast this morning. My skin, again, it might be genetics. There is an esthetician at Duke that saw me speak with Dr. Westman. And she actually remarked she sees a lot of people at Duke with skin issues, either burn victims, recovering from surgery, whatever. She's not a doctor. But she's seen people who've lost a lot of weight, some from bariatric surgery, but then she saw a lot of Dr. Westman's patients coming in who'd lost a lot of weight, and their skin was different than those who had had bariatric surgery. Could be because the weight loss is more gradual, don't know. But she asked me, ask me, how much did you lose? And I said, whatever it was at the time, 95 pounds, 92 pounds. She says, I'm looking at you, and I can usually tell someone who's lost that much weight, a mile away. And so Dr. Westman said, what do you think it is? She says that she doesn't know, but she wonders if the anti-inflammatory properties of this diet, because that's being pretty well borne out in research, that it is anti-inflammatory for a lot of things, everything from, joint pain, autoimmune disorders, all those type of asthma. But that skin is an organ, and possibly the anti-inflammatory properties of that help this as well. Don't know. Again, it might be genetics. I might be, sometimes it's better to be lucky than to be good, and that might just be the case in my case. I mean, I have some crepey skin, but, my belly's pretty good. I won't show it to you. Nobody needs to see that. Plus, I'm 60. Plus, I've had 3 kids. Plus, I had a hip-to-hip hysterectomy when I was 30. Plus, my second kid weighed 10 pounds. I'd be amazed if I'd never put on weight that I wouldn't have crepey skin. Jude, you must be answering someone's question. Someone must have written, how do I start? Because you're saying, next meal, stay below 20. It's 20 grams a day, not per meal. But yeah, the next time you put food in your mouth, just leave off the carbs. You don't have to go buy special food. Just don't eat some of the food you've got. Now, if you don't have any nice sources of protein in your house, go get some. Shop the perimeter of the store. Leave off the carbs. Another bit of confusion. I'm stalled. I've been told that if I carb up a day, that'll get things going. Wrong? You might find the next day something shifts, but it could be coincidence. There is no logical reason. They say, oh, it's a shock to your system. Well, yeah, so would be taking a butcher knife and jabbing it into your thigh. That would be a shock to your system, but it's probably not a good way to lose weight. Stick with the program. Again, do what you want to do. Nobody gets a vote. I'm going to wrap up here because I do have the patron group chat starting in a bit. But, okay, define fatty sources of protein. I want you to think about it, Susie. Think about it. Because I want to teach you to fish rather than give you a fish. Protein is animal product, for the most part. It either is an animal or comes from an animal. And you just eat the fat that comes with that animal. Ribeye with the fat, not a filet mignon where it's been all trimmed off. Get a chicken thigh with the skin rather than a boneless, skinless chicken breast. An egg with the yolk. I want you to think about it. You can figure this out. Full fat dairy instead of low fat dairy. Ben Berkman, click it on my Facebook group, it's an IQ, states when you're older, you need more protein as we don't utilize it as well as the young. Eating less can cause sarcopenia. I personally don't limit my protein, but I do eat to satiety. And I make, you know, if you listen to your body, it'll tell you what it needs. You know what I sometimes really, really have a craving for now? And I never even liked it before? Liver. And that very well could be my body saying you need some more protein and you need some iron. So I eat it. Listen to your body. No, I did not count calories at all. If you listen to your body and you only eat when you're hungry, and you don't eat if you're not hungry, your body tells you how many calories, and I have no idea how much I eat in a day now. All right, I'm going to do a little bit of a scold here. We're going to get a little school marmy. For those of you who are in the Keto After 40 with Casey Facebook group, or those thinking about it, I'm going to be dead brutal on questions that either have been asked and answered many times, questions that on the face of them seem provocative, or questions like, I don't understand it, I haven't lost any weight, here's what I eat every day. And then included in what I'm eating every day is, you know, a handful of pistachios and one of these protein bars, which if you look at it has 27 grams of protein. And then someone says, just help the newbie out, and find out that she's not a newbie, she's been on the group for a year. I'm not playing anymore. There's too much confusion and I don't want to be part of it. My name's at the top of the page. So you might want to take this opportunity to leave the group if you will be offended by such. But I'm going to be brutal. You know, posting a video of a recipe. Would this recipe be okay if you just left out the breadcrumbs and the sugar and the maple syrup? Don't put the video up. Arrowroot as thickener instead of flour. You know what I have used is xanthan gum. And because it takes almost none. I mean, it takes like a quarter of a teaspoon and it just keeps thickening and thickening. I don't know about arrowroot. Look at the carbs on the label. But actually, you know what makes a great thickener? Cream cheese. Oof, and it's so delicious. And it doesn't take much. Okay, guys, thank you very much. Have a great time. I appreciate you allowing me to be part of your weekend. Please, I will be continuing to do free content because I believe in it. To whom much has been given, much is expected. But my concentration is my lovely maid and I first, and then Patreon second. So thank you very much for the support, and take care of yourselves. 20 grams or fewer a day. Eat fatty sources of protein. Don't eat if you're not hungry. And listen to good sources of information, not people who are trying to sell you something. Thanks a lot. TTFN.